Director, producer and screenwriter of Canadian film, born August 16, 1954 in Kapuskasing, Ontario, Canada. The family of James Cameron moved to California, United States, in 1971. There the future director begins to work as a mechanic and driver, at the time that she studied physics at Fullerton College. However, his interest in cinema is such that does not hesitate to abandon the apparent stability of their work to find sponsors for his first short film, Xenogenesis, which films in 1978. The producers include a consortium of dentists in Los Angeles. Their models at this time are Stanley Kubrick and George Lucas. After this first experience, she manages to join the team of producer and director Roger Corman. Working alongside the veteran director for Cameron is a double experience. Hand acquires the reflections of Corman in solving problems during filming. On the other hand, it collaborates with a generation of young fans to fantastic cinema which, later on, will become well known in Hollywood. Cameron performs different tasks in the company of Corman Productions, taking advantage of their technical expertise. Coordinates special enhancements, design sets, and even develop their talent as operator. His appearance in the credits of The Magnificent Seven of Space is its premiere in the cinema after that multidisciplinary learning along with Corman. Piranha 2, The Vampires of the Sea will be his first job as director, although all the circumstances will be adverse. The budget is minimal, many team members speak only Italian, and the weather conditions in the area of Jamaica where wheels are just as negative. In 1981, the same year that directs this first film, is called by John Carpenter to work in special effects in 1997, Rescue in New York. But Cameron ambitions go beyond the tweaking and fight resolutely for carrying out its first project of importance, Terminator, whose script writes next to Gale and Hurd, that will be your partner for years. But the capital for this film is difficult to achieve, so it accepts the offer of Sylvester Stallone's collaboration on the screenplay of Rambo. The cast of Terminator is an old friend of Cameron, Lance Henriksen, who worked at the Corman factory. Henriksen, Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton will be a regular actor in later films of the director. The Terminator is just $6 million, but after its premiere raises more than 80. The protagonist, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays a killer android, becomes an international star, and Cameron is recognized by critics as a skilled filmmaker with a great future in the action genre. This allows you to obtain a larger budget for your next project, Aliens: The Return, sequel to the film by Ridley Scott. Aside from the good interpretive work of the lead actress, Sigourney Weaver, this sci-fi movie stands out for the elaborate their special effects, liability of Stan Winston. The success of the film box office strengthens the good moment of Cameron, who, despite limited his filmography as offers at that time two fundamental qualities of his films: the passion for technology and presence in the arguments of extraordinarily active heroines. However, against its virtues, also begins to demonstrate the defect which then it will be most criticized, the megalomania. It imposes a long-desired project, abyss that will take 18 months of work, with the economic level that involves the construction of huge pools where roll this underwater fantasy. Filming, great hardness from the human point of view, complicate the development of digital effects that are unknown in the cinema of the time. Abyss knows two versions, one shorter, with a satisfactory fit of producers, and other long-lasting, only known by viewers through video and television. Despite such fanfare, the public does not respond this time to Call Cameron, whose commercial effectiveness starts to be put into question. In that moment of crisis meet the screenwriter and future director Kathryn Bigelow, who will marry in 1989. The first feature film of Bigelow, called Bodhi, is produced and co-written by Canadian director, achieved a significant income with this project. Taking advantage of his friendship with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Cameron decided to collaborate again with him in the sequel to Terminator, which is promoted as the most extraordinary special effects film in history. The director, assisted by technicians of the Industrial Light VE Magic, George Lucas, developed by computer graphics several characters, giving rise to a surprising spectacle sequences. To this must be added the fast-paced rhythm achieved with the movements of camera and mount, all factors which put Cameron on top of action directors. In this case also it will test his skill as a producer, at the forefront of their particular company, Lightstorm Entertainment, which wants to follow in the footsteps of George Lucas and his Lucasfilm company. Encouraged by the impressive enhancements of this production, decided to establish his own company, Digital Domain, Special Effects in 1993, associated with Stan Winston. Full flow of visual effects that Digital Domain is able to is shown in True Lies, the new production of Cameron, this time combined in the cast to star Arnold Schwarzenegger with a good comedy, Jamie Lee Curtis, actress, and a famous television comic, Tom Arnold. The screenplay is based on the of a French film, La Totale. 1991, by Claude Zidi. Despite that, after its commercial exploitation, this film amply cover its enormous budget, does not become the success that Cameron hoped. Is then when it starts to prepare the new film that will be Catherine Bigelow, and which finally takes by title Strange Days. By these dates, you are already divorced from Bigelow, and has found a new partner in the protagonist of the two editions of Terminator, actress Linda Hamilton. She will have her first daughter. A chance will be the fate of Cameron to improve even more if possible. Runs in 1994, and the filmmaker acquires an English film video, The Last Night of the Titanic, 1958, by Roy Ward Baker. Shortly after she began to write the screenplay for what will be the most ambitious of his career, Titanic film. This film will mean a change apparent in his films, because it's a pseudo-historica reconstruction of the famous shipwreck, but actually incorporate the same features that distinguish all his previous films: high-tech, a female character, very fighter, gigantism, epic sense of storytelling, and spectacular visual effects sequences. In a sense, his new movie includes a summary of previous issues, the tragic, as in Terminator, romance, survival at sea, such as Piranha 2 and Abyss, the greed of a big company, as in Aliens, the looming proximity of catastrophe, as in Terminator 2 and True Lies, and the risks of a technological development that is out of control, as in the two installments of Terminator. Also, references are made in Titanic to the classism of the early century, expressed in the various categories of passengers traveling on the boat. The core of the story is the tragedy experienced by the people traveling in the RMS Titanic, the most luxurious of beginning-of-century vessel, owned by the White Star Lines Company, which after starting from the port of Southampton, England, with 2,228 people on board, sank during the night of 14 to 15 April 1912 after colliding with an iceberg in the North Atlantic. 1,522 people, including some of the most notable rulers of the time, died. After rigorously documented in pre-production, Cameron spends $200 million, backed by Paramount and 20th Century Fox, in filming the tragedy, which makes predict many that investment is nearly unrecoverable. However, that huge budget has its reason for being in thorough reconstruction of the interior of the ship, and the innovative visual effects that put him back to browse. To the point becomes the obsession of the filmmaker, who pays an immersion in the waters close to Newfoundland to, with a submersible robot, film the remains of the real Titanic, lost in the depths. These plugs are then inserted in the footage, giving rise to spectacular transitions between the original boat and the reconstructed to scale. The new Titanic prepared for the shoot is 240 meters in length, and is sunk in a few tanks built for that purpose in Rosarito Beach, Baja California, Mexico. The dimensions of the project are extremely irritable to Cameron, who, under pressure by the producer, comes to give up his salary in order to finish a project that is delayed for months, favoring the rumors about his possible failure. However, the end result is a success of public, also applauded by critics. 11 Academy Awards, including Best Film and Best Director, lead to Titanic to the Classic Film category. Its protagonists, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, become, despite the brief of their careers, star of the first magnitude. Titanic received 2 Oscars for Best. DiCaprio is precisely the actor with whom Cameron prepares the next film of Lightstorm Entertainment and Digital Domain, an adaptation of the comic book Spider-Man. In parallel, Cameron prepares other 2 shootings. One of them is Avatar, which will be the first film whose human characters will be fully developed by digital effects. The other project is a remake of Planet of the Apes, 1968, Franklin J. Schaffner, whose main role was offered to Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the best friends of Cameron in Hollywood. Avatar was finally released at Christmas 2009, and was a real event, not only because of the influx and the satisfaction of the public, but by the credible recreation of a planet, Pandora, built between characters, nature, its tools and language, maintaining coherence and logic internal, surprisingly have been developed entirely in 3D. Plus seamless success was swift, recovering more than $500 million spent in a few weeks, but it won the Golden Globe, prelude to the Oscar, award for Best Film and Best Director. The main actor, Sam Worthington, ascended not one awards, but a strong impulse to her acting career, which will see its association with director Cameron grow in the following films in the trilogy. His prolific work for television, both at the level of director as a scriptwriter, series that have become in cult, like Dark Angel, with a young Jessica Alba, or the Sarah Connor Chronicles, detailing aspects of the fight against machines, which make reference to the Terminator series,